Let's check that Arkansas score. Still 3-0 Arkansas over UCLA. It looks
Yeah, I
like
have it
in
on
the
here.
you got it in the seventh.
UCLA's had some shots, man. They've wasted some chances.
That's a good team too. All right, looks like we are officially live. We'll give it just a few minutes to let some people roll in and get started in just a few. Brandon out there already waving to us. He's ready to go, locked in tonight.
Brandon's ready. My boy Nathan is ready. He was asking me when are we starting.
Love to see it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Third and Central podcast, the only podcast dedicated solely to the University of Louisville baseball program. This is Matt Sefcovic, and as always, I'm joined by Terry Pennington from Inside Louisville Baseball. Again, he's still live out in Omaha after the Cards picked up a massive, just crazy W today, which I'm sure everybody knows all about it and was able to tune in this afternoon. But we'll definitely jump into that. We talked last night. Louisville's one of the final 6 teams standing, and here as soon as the game between UCLA and Arkansas goes final. I think it's in the 7th now. Whenever that goes final, Louisville will be one of the final 4 teams standing. So it's a hell of a day to be a Louisville Cardinal baseball fan. Just an awesome run this team is on. Not ready for it to be over with. But we got a lot to talk about and get into with the game today because it was an exciting one. It was we talked before we hit the record button. It's tough on old guys like this on our blood pressure and all that good stuff. Hope everybody's taking their meds. But man, what a game it was. So Terry, I know you were out there live, got to take all of it in, which we will talk about that here in just a few minutes. But how's everything going out that way? I know the kind of weather's been spotty out there, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely. We got a lot of rain last night for sure. Obviously, canceled made the game stop last night, and it continued. It continued deep into the night last night. So everything today was good. I mean, it looked like it might we might get a little shower for a minute, but as far as when I was out there, everything stayed clear. And yeah, I mean, just I was just hoping to make sure our game finished. Honestly, I don't really care if this LSU or Arkansas and UCLA game finishes, but as long as our game wasn't interrupted, I was going to take that as a W. So, and it did happen, and we came out with a win. So it makes for a good day.
And I know as the Cards continue to win, that just means it's more expensive for people like you that are out there because more hotel nights and more more meals on the road and all that stuff. So hate it for that reason, but I hope you stay there as long as you can because that means that we will we continue to win baseball games. But what a ride this is, and how fun has it been to be a Louisville fan. To take this team to the Final Four of the College World Series. It's just been a heck of a run. So let's talk about the rest of the College World Series, what's gone down since we chatted last night. Obviously, the game between LSU and UCLA got delayed. They finished it up right before we played this afternoon. And now UCLA and Arkansas are playing in an elimination game, and that is in the I just looked a second ago. It was in the 7th inning. It looks like Arkansas's up 3-0 on UCLA. So we'll see how that one plays out. But the winner of that one advances to LSU, and they will have to beat them twice to advance. LSU would just have to win once to advance. Same thing on our side. Obviously, Louisville beat Oregon State, and we are looking at a matchup with Coastal Carolina tomorrow at 2 p.m. Win that game. We got to win another one against them to get into the finals. So I guess just a rundown since we've had the games last night and really the since the opening weekend games, how this thing has kind of played out. Are there any surprises really to you? I think on the other side, I think we all thought it was going to be LSU and Arkansas in the end, in my opinion. They were matched up against each other, but it doesn't shock me that those two teams kind of made it through the losers bracket, if that score holds, obviously, to force the winner to go to the championship. And on our side, we talked off camera and on camera really, and we both felt pretty confident about the draw that we had to at least get to this point. And the way Coastal has been playing, I mean, they're on a 25-game winning streak. They're just doing some really, really impressive things. That's a really high-quality baseball club. So to me, I think the two teams left on each side are probably who we expected. What are your thoughts? Did you see these kind of four teams as being the last one standing?
Yeah, and I even think like as far like okay, on each side of the bracket, it did appear to me like I know Arkansas was the was the higher seeded team just by a couple slots over LSU. But that LSU 1-2 punch in their rotation is just so lethal. I thought that they were the best team on that side. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me. It's still, I don't think it would stun me if Arkansas beat them twice, but that's a tall task, to get somebody twice in a 2 day span that has that kind of pitching depth. And it's not, for LSU, it's not just pitching. They can obviously hammer the baseball as well. So on that side, I think was definitely leaning towards LSU. I think, even in the matchup tonight with Arkansas and UCLA, I mean, I thought that would probably be what today's matchup was. And to be honest, if Louisville wasn't going to be the team that was 2-0, I figured we'd end up in that 1-1 game, right back with either Coastal or the three teams that were left. I felt like were on each side were the best three teams on each side.
Yeah.
And so you get in that 1-1 game and anything can happen. And we saw it today. I think, to be honest, Arkansas might have caught a break with LSU or with UCLA having to play 6 innings this morning.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting that bullpen a little bit. Just then have to sit around and wait and come back. And it's just that was an advantage Arkansas in that thing. And they're ranked higher and all these things. And so maybe they're the better team anyway, but that was an advantage for sure. And so, it's a tall task on each side for both Louisville and, I guess we'll see Arkansas still hitting in the 7th here, but, it's a lot to ask to have to run your way back through that losers bracket. That's why that opening game is so important. And so, but you don't have to beat somebody, 5 times in a row or however many it is. I mean, you're just at this point, you're just living for the moment one day at a time. And, it's always going to be, all hands on deck because there's no tomorrow, right? And so, we'll see how it plays out the rest of the week.
Yeah, you're at the point in the weekend that, or not of the weekend, but of the College World Series that every pitcher is going to have a short leash at this point in time because you can't go out there and have a bad inning or really a bad couple batters because at that point in time it could be too late. So you're going to see that from not just Louisville, not just Coastal, but whoever's on the other side. You're going to see the same thing. It's going to be you're going to see a bunch of arms because there, like you said, there is no tomorrow. We can't afford to have a bad day today because there won't be baseball tomorrow if that's the case. But Louisville had a heck of a win today over Oregon State, who is the 8th seed, who beat us on Friday night. So it was kind of a sweet redemption game. Before we hop into that, I want to mention, Obviously, those are joining us. We are live. We've got some comments and stuff coming in. Terry, it looks like Sean saw you in the locker room today, so you've got a fan there. Sean was with you, and bourbon tonight is Hancock's Reserve. I'm drinking that again tonight because that's what I had last night, and it seemed to work. So we're sticking with it. We're going to roll with it until it doesn't work. But any comments, anything you want us to chat about or cover, we are here. Just drop it in the comments, and we'd be happy to discuss anything you all want us to talk about. So let's jump into the game today. Oregon State, obviously somebody that Louisville is familiar with from a couple days ago, and it was a game that Louisville never trailed today. But Oregon State just wouldn't go away. It seemed like every time Louisville scored a run or two, they would answer with a run or two. But the scoring really started and ended with Mr. Postseason himself, Eddie King Jr., who drove in the first run of the game and then drove in the sack fly in the ninth to get the walk off. So let's kind of just run through how the scoring broke down. Terry, you were there, obviously, and got to see it in person. I had a event today. I talked to Terry a little bit about it last night, so I didn't get to see the entire game. My son was invited by Cozier for Kids to go meet the Louisville football coaching staff and take a tour of the facilities and meet the players after practice. We got to watch practice a little bit and get autographs. Saw Vince Marrow in red and black. That was kind of weird for the first time. He was out on the field. I got to see him, but so a bunch of the dads, we were there with our kids, and we had the game on our phones. We were watching on YouTube, and a couple of the Cozier employees, they were keeping up with it, and through all the facilities, the locker room, the weight room, all the players' offices, and all that stuff. That they had the game on, so we were able to catch most of it. But it was a fun afternoon. So Terry, I know you were there, so I'm going to rely on you to cover some of it. But let's get through how the scoring kind of went down. Monroe hit the home run to make it 3-0 shortly after that in the third inning. And Terry, we've talked about this on the episodes just about College World Series in general, is how difficult it is to hit the ball out of that ballpark, because it's long and it almost plays longer than that. But we actually saw that when we were walking through. He tattooed that ball. He didn't get cheated on that one bit. Gave Louisville an early 3-0 lead. And then in the fourth inning, the teams kind of traded home runs a little bit. Louisville's up 4-2. They traded runs again in the sixth. It seems like every time we scored, they bounced right back. And they probably felt the same way. Every time they started to chip away, then we added to the lead. So that's just kind of how the game went. It was an exciting game. Kind of a lot going on in the base pass, both teams. But then the ninth inning is really when most of the action took place. Schweitzer tossed a clean eighth, and we talked about that before. You look at the lineup that's coming in to face Louisville in the ninth inning, and it's the same guys that Schweitzer faced in the ninth on Friday night. And we saw how that went down. So obviously from a coach's standpoint, I thought it was the right move to make a change there. So they brought in Daniel Levitch, and he got in a little trouble and gave up a home run, a single, and then I think it was a 2-0 count when he got pulled, if I'm not mistaken. And things were just kind of going sideways. So brought in Tucker Biven, who we just saw on Sunday through, I believe, 53 pitches, and Tucker, a local kid from just across the river. He wasn't going to let that be his last college game. That was not going to be the last time he put on a Louisville baseball jersey, because he was just tough as nails. Got a ground ball to Alisei at shortstop, and kind of a routine double play. And Alisei just he tried to make the flip before he fielded the ball, and just got ahead of himself a little bit. But that didn't stop Tucker. That pushed the scoring run across the plate, tied it 6-6, and they had runners on second and third. And you look up, there's no outs. And here we are in a situation that this thing could get, it's already sideways, but it could get really bad really quick. Tucker gets 2 strikeouts and a pop-up to Tage Davis, and ends the threat like that. And Louisville takes a 6-6 tie into the bottom of the ninth inning. To start off the ninth, we talked about the baseball gods a lot, right? And, Alisea makes that error in the top of the inning, and you look at who's coming up to plate, and there's Alex first up off the bench. He's the first guy to step into the box in the bottom of the ninth. And one of two things is going to happen. He's going to, not just him, but this is just how it works. You're going to try to force something and do too much, or you're going to be the hero. Fortunately, he didn't try to force anything, just went up there. He took a walk, was able to get on base. And then Lucas Moore in a wild play that you don't see often at all. I think it was an 0-2 count, if I'm not mistaken, the catcher's interference to get him on, get him first, get runners in first and second. Or was it a 1-2 count?
I was gonna look back and check. I mean, I was down, I was down like on the field level, and I mean, he was putting together a heck of an at bat though. Like just
Yeah.
you could tell he was really trying to shoot one down that left field line. I mean, he was hanging back and really trying to wait on it. Just a massive, massive mistake by their catcher. That's. I'll look it up. You can keep going. I'll look it up and see what the count was.
So then Matt Klein comes up. You got runners on first and second with no outs. Matt Klein, you ask him to bunt, and he lays down a beautiful bunt. The pitcher isn't able to field it cleanly. So now we've got runners on first, second, third, no outs. And then two batters later, Eddie King Jr. hits the walk-off sac fly to end it and send Oregon State back home and move Louisville into the championship game of the bracket against Coastal. So, it was just the inning. I was on my way home watching on my phone as this thing unfolded, coming home from the event, and it was my wife and I were both just screaming in the car as we were driving down 65. But just an absolute blast. So happy for Eddie. He continues to just produce time and time again in the postseason. And this team, they once again they answered the call. They were down, but they weren't out. And here we are. I think Kamai said it in one of the post-game press conferences on the field. He was like, "Man, we get to play baseball tomorrow." And there's only 4 teams in college baseball that get to say that right now. So just super happy for this bunch. They continue to battle. Obviously tough top of the 9th inning, but it lived to play another day, and here we are. Louisville's in the Final Four tomorrow. So you were there, got to take in all the action, Terry. Kind of walk us through what you got to see, because I know I went through that pretty quick, but it was a super, super exciting game.
Yeah, and I'll get to all the late inning heroics and all the things that happened, but I do want to make sure I, first and foremost, just touch on how good Brennan Cutts was today. His stuff was, it was moving all over the place. He had that was his A stuff today. Gave up, there was a couple walks sprinkled in there and some things, but after the hit to start the game, but 7 Ks, in his outing. He had I believe his season high was 5 just against East Tennessee just a couple weeks ago. And he comes out and he hadn't started. And so just to go back through, to get back and get comfortable with a different way of preparing for the day and to go out and to be able to shove it like that was awesome, man. I was just so excited for that dude. Like, just some of the moments he's been in the postseason. This is why he came here. And to see him just really be able to step up in those key spots, man, it's been really fun to watch. I'm just so happy for him. Such a good dude. I couldn't be happier, honestly, for him. He was so great today. And just, obviously we did get a couple runs going there early, but really what you want, he gave you 3 innings and gets you into the game and gives you a chance. And I thought it was awesome. And then, piggyback right on top of him, Justin West comes in and, was nails. Oregon State was completely full, and they were the other night too, and they were tonight again. They have no clue on that curveball. And again, we've talked about, I know he doesn't throw hard, in terms of like he doesn't have Patrick Forbes fastball, but his fastball plays up so much because of how good his off speed stuff is. So if he's able to get it in there at 89, 90 miles an hour, it's playing up 3, 4 miles an hour from that because of this off speed stuff. So, it got a little hairy there for a minute. And, Roger went, made the visit. I asked him about the visit in the locker room afterwards. And by the way, who was it that said they saw me? Sean saw me in the locker room?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know who Sean, and I apologize,
Sean.
Sean, if I don't. But yeah, say hey next time, man. Say hey. I'm willing to say what's up or whatever. I guess we were all when we're in there, we're working, um, but no, like it was like he settled right down, and what he talked about was that's what they told him, like just settle down, throw it. He talked about going through the catcher. He mentioned that to me multiple times in the conversation I had with him. So, he was able to kind of key in on something that was, just would work for him. And once he got back to doing that, it was back to basics and back to lights out. He was great. And, Jack Brown comes in for the seventh inning. And look, that's a Jack hadn't got a lot of innings lately. And so it's tough to go out there and just like, hey, here you go. College World Series elimination game, season's on the line. Here's the baseball to a freshman who's never been, this is obviously his first time. And unfortunately, but it's everyone's basically here's first time
Mm-hmm.
through postseason baseball outside of Brennan Cuts. But he got the job done. It wasn't, look, I'm sure Jack would tell you, and I did not talk with him after the game, but I'm sure he would tell you that wasn't like his best outing he ever had or anything like that. But he did his job. He's able to get the outs. They were squaring him a little bit. And so, like, for him to just kind of be able to fight through, you know, in that moment when he knows it's not really his A plus stuff, um, still threw a zero up, and that was a massive inning. Schweitzer comes in, nails again. I mean, again, we talked about this last night. So, I mean, where are all of you at talking about Jake Schweitzer on here about how you didn't want him to have the ball? I saw all your, I said it last night. I saw all your tweets. We saw them all. I saw that nonsense. Just kid's so good. I mean, just insane. Like you guys act like you never made a mistake at your job or at your, you never. I don't even know. I mean, you never. It's just that stuff's insanity to me. So, anyways, the stuff about Jake Schweitzer, about any of them, honestly, should just stop. They're in college, get a life. But I mean, he was great today. Um, Again, like much like Justin West, he's able to control the game with his off-speed pitches. And
Yep.
so when Schweitzer is landing his off-speed stuff, forget it. He's too good. And look, I'm sure there were some out there who thought you mentioned it right. He's dealing. Let's go to him. But Coach Mack decided, hey, let's roll with Wyatt here. It was a little bit of a tough go versus that same. So this is the thing about it that's weird. The splits typically, right, would tell you, okay, we want righty righty, but that's not the way the splits worked with those hitters. And so that's why they go lefty. And Coach Mack talked about that post game. They decided, all right, let's go with Wyatt here. And I'll tell you, look, I mean, it's funny to see it done on a national stage because it basically doesn't happen hardly anywhere else. You barely ever see it. But I mean, Coach Matt came out and got him in a 2-0 count. And I mean, how many times do we see that throughout the year? Practically once a week, it seems like.
Yep.
It's not actually that often, but it might be. So, it's something. That's the thing. Like, it's not going to catch the kids off guard because that happens. Like, especially with bullpen arms, like he has no problem. Like, if it's just not your day, and he mentioned it right, like in the post game. And if you didn't see it, he said, some of those breaking balls were being bounced in there, and one allowed a runner to advance. Like it wasn't his day, and that's okay. That's fine. Like he didn't do anything wrong. It's just some days you have it, some days you don't have it, and he wasn't really able to land that breaking ball. And he goes to Tucker, and again, Coach Mack talked post game about Tucker, and basically, I mean, he said he went down. I mean, he went and told them, "I'm going to the bullpen." Like no one told him to go down there and get ready. No one said anything. He's got his spikes on. He says, "Hey, I'm going down there." Basically saying, "You need me. I'm ready to go. Whatever it is." And we've talked. The word I use all the time about Tucker is bulldog, and I can't think of a better word. I mean, I meant it as a compliment, and I told Jake Schweitzer. I mean, I see a lot of Tucker in Jake Schweitzer. Just the mentality. They're both sinker ball pitchers, so that I see some of that as well. But um, Tucker's makeup is just different. He wants the baseball, and in this type of situation where it's win or go home, and sometimes you'll see guys who want their full rest, right? I mean, they just kind of function better that way. Sometimes you'll see a guy that says, "I don't care if I threw 2 days ago. I don't care if I threw 70 pitches." Arkansas starter today threw I think 2 or 3 days ago, threw an inning in a third or an inning in two thirds, and he got him through at least five today. I mean, because it's the College World Series. Give me the baseball. And there's no one I mean, who on this team can you think of that you're like, "Oh, in that spot, yeah, give it to him," because you know how it's going to end up. And so, look, my favorite thing about Tucker is it doesn't really matter what's happening around him. He seems to be able to compartmentalize and say, "All right, back to work." And yeah, Alex, tough. I mean, that's a play he makes practically, 99 and a half times out of 100. Just didn't get the glove down. It gets underneath.
Yep.
A couple come in. And Coach Mack again said it in the post game. No one feels worse about that than Alex. How many errors does the kid have all year? He had like three errors. 2 errors, 3 errors. I mean, he's had a couple. He's just got a little ahead of himself. Like you said, it's a big spot. You've got to get that. You've got to get it and get it out of the glove quickly. And he just picked that glove up just a little too quick before he had the baseball. That's all that happened. And, but fortunately, the Oregon State hitters, for some reason, seemed like they were more than happy to just stand there and try to take a walk. And I did not understand it. I mean, I'm practically in the Oregon State dugout. That's like, the dugout ends as a railing. I'm sitting on the railing. And I'm just like, I kept looking at their coaches who seemed to be despondent about some calls. And I'm just like, you're just standing there with your bat on your shoulder. Like, move, Coach McDonald said it the other day, right? Move the baseball, put the ball in play. And they seemed very content to want to do the exact opposite of that. They were trying to just, I don't know these kids. I don't want to claim like I follow Oregon State baseball. It's a great baseball program. But those kids seemed content to me to let the moment come to them instead of go meet the moment. And that was the difference in the game. Because in the next inning, and I know I'm talking for absolute ever, and I'm sorry. In the next inning, they were again despondent about the ball four call on Alisea.
Yep.
One of the coaches took off running to the other end of the dugout like he thought it was some kind of like atrocity that had just happened. He needed to get back because I think he was charting and calling pitches and doing things. But anyway, so like they were looking for him, but they, you get the runner on base, and you knew something was about to happen. Like, is he gonna steal? I mean, he's a threat to steal. Lucas is great at moving the baseball. And we talked earlier, like he was really, really trying to hang back on that thing and shoot that down that left field line. And the funny thing is, they have every other count in here, but because it was catcher's interference, it basically goes down like it's an error, and so they don't have the count
Uh,
listed that it
yeah,
happened at. But it was either 1-2 or 0-2, and
yeah,
you don't see that happen hardly ever. But a few times during the year, a guy, it's very weird because the catchers, for the most part, they don't really like move their feet too often in the box in terms of like forward or back. But every once in a while, you'll see a guy kind of just slide himself up a little bit, like especially when he's nervous that a guy's going to run. And he's just trying to get a little bit closer to get that baseball to get it out. And so I think with 2 strikes, he was a little bit nervous that Alex might be moving. And yeah, he got caught. And I mean, they reviewed it. It was clear as day. I mean, you could hear the double pop. So, I mean, I don't know what they were. I guess they were just trying to delay or something or whatever. But, you know, Klein gets on, and Jake was funny, obviously, post game too, because he said he didn't like that third strike call. He said he jumped up and did a little spin around, and he said when he saw Eddie was there, he said, "Oh, we're good. I know we're good right here." And that was the thing. I mean, Eddie went up there and he knew just lift something. And because he went up there swing, he knew first pitch, am I going to get a fastball? He was ready, hoping for a fastball to be able to lift right away. And so, he didn't get it right there. He got a strike on that one. But I mean, that thing was hit, and it was very funny to me because Alisea, like the guy caught the ball in center field, and like he made sure he was standing on the base for just an extra second to make sure there's no question, and was able to come in. And I mean, he's coming running right towards me. And when he slides in and is safe, and he kind of, smacks the ground with his hand a couple times, and you could tell, like, he just felt like the weight lifted off of him right there. Like, the kid's so good. He's so talented. I mean, he's just, I've said it before on here. I could watch that kid practice all day, every day. And he just loves baseball. I mean, just watching him run out yesterday, they were taking at practice, they were hitting, flies back in the back. Tucker Biven was actually hitting them back in the back of shortstop, and having him run back there and try to make play. And he's just having a ball out there. He couldn't have been having more fun. So just happy that he was able to feel that in that moment. But whew, man, deep breath. Guys were trying to give me a heart attack. But survive and advance, right? Survive and advance. So we get to play baseball for another day.
that's the name of the game this time of the year. You talk about Alex, staying on third base for a moment longer. The center fielder tried to deke him like he like the ball was coming, and like so you see that happen in college baseball all the time. And then he did a little 360 spin, and so he was trying to do some things to throw Alex off, but obviously it didn't work. I was, like I said, I was on the way home listening in the car and watching on YouTube TV on my phone. Uh, Sean Moss said that was the second catcher's interference on Louisville all year long. So there was only one prior to that. I don't remember when the other one was, but that was just the second one of the season, according to Sean. And talking about Alex a little bit, making that error, you could see the other players in their post game, not necessarily the post game press conference, and they may have, you were in there, but I saw some interviews with College Baseball Central that Monty did, and I think Micah may have done the other one, interviewing Zion and Tucker, and both of them kind of paused before they started the interview and answered the questions. They were like, we just want to talk about Alex Alisea in that era. They were like, he's the best shortstop in the country. I'm sorry, I think it may have been Tucker and Jake Monroe. And they were just talking about how don't worry about that. He's the best second or best shortstop in the entire country. Like, we don't need all the Alex Alisea slander because we know what that dude's all about with his glove. It was good to see those guys kind of stand up for him when the question really wasn't even posed to them about him. They were kind of talking about their game. So that was pretty good to see, just them standing up for him, because you could, like you said, when he slid into home plate, you could tell that he just kind of laid there for a second and just had a big sigh of relief, because he didn't want that one to be the last one making a defensive miscue out in the field.
You know, Dan talks a lot about, I mean, he's mentioned over and over again throughout the year, and as well as other teammates about, they do think Alex is the best shortstop in the
Hmm.
country.
Yep.
And I'll say this, he's not the biggest guy, and he does not project as a shortstop. He projects as a second baseman, um, mostly because of his size. It has nothing to do with anything else, honestly. It's just the fact that, they're just going to take a look at it, you know, same as Christian Knapczyk, right? It's not that he can't play it, it's just uh, Major League Baseball clubs like to have somebody that's a little bit bigger at shortstop. Um, he doesn't have the biggest arm, but that kid makes, I, I don't want to say every play, but that kid makes plays that just should not be made. And you've seen it all year. The running catches down in foul territory over in left or out back, in back of, shortstop out in shallow to even halfway into left field sometimes. The plays up the middle, the balls he gets to, uh, he is so talented, and just again another one of those hitters kids that this program just is able to grab. And we've had a lot of success with kids from that program up in Wisconsin, coming down to Louisville, and there's more on the way.
Hmm.
Just I'm not going to get into it right now, but just because that's not really what this is for tonight. But just wait, just wait till you see some of these dudes rolling in the next couple years out of that hitters program. The thing is, they're coached hard in the hitters
Hmm.
program. And all you have to do is go to one summer baseball game and watch those hitters teams play and listen to the way the coaches coach them. And that's a kid you want in your program because they're used to being coached hard. And so they fit into the culture here at Louisville. And so when Alisea steps on campus, obviously, look, he was great from day one. Kid's been a day one starter at from second, now shortstop. Again, look, if we had some All American kind of shortstop, I guess maybe we'd move Alex out there. But there's no way you're going to move him out. I mean, he's so good. The glove's so good. Again, like I said, it's not a cannon for an arm. He's not one of these, 6'4" guys that just throws these rockets over there like a De La Cruz or whatever. But I mean, they're on target. Every throw's on target. He hits Tag in the chest every time. And so, when they talk about him being the best shortstop in the country, I think he's one of the best in the country. They're not saying it as just to say it. And the fact that Dan said the other day in the press conference that he thinks Alisea can lead the ACC in hits next year tells you what kind of bat this kid has. I, there are some kids on this team that are going to play professional baseball that may not make it to the major leagues. I think Alex Alisea is a major leaguer. He knows how to control the bat, and he is smooth with that glove. And we just didn't get it down that time. What you gonna do? And so again, just I felt so happy for him to just like I would have hated for him to take that into the summer with him. Just that feeling that he would have let them down, and so they were able to make some plays. Tucker was able to thank you for Oregon State, who was happy to, like I said, to just hang out in the batter's box. And then it was funny in the post game, right? You had a bunch of guys saying, "Oh, Eddie King Jr. is my favorite baseball player." Just in some of the interviews. So that stuff always makes me laugh. I know Justin West was doing it. I saw Schweitzer doing it. They were doing some interview things. So, Eddie King Jr. might be my favorite baseball player too. I don't know. So, no, but it was a blast today, and just so happy for those dudes. And like I said, like it's fun when you see them be able to kind of redeem themselves right that day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to carry over, and they don't have to think about it at night. Now he can just like, let's just relax. We get to go out and play again tomorrow, and he can make the play the next time, so it's all good.
You talk about Eddie King Jr. in the post game. We chatted about this a little bit before we got on here. The video started circulating on social media. He was one of the players up on the taking questions after the game and the post game, and the players go first, and then they leave, and then the coaches take their questions. And Um, Eddie King Jr. stands up and he's talking with Tucker Biven, and his nameplate is up there. It's his College World Series, and it's got his name on it. And when the teams that lose, their players will kind of they'll take them with them because they don't have a need for them anymore because their season's over at that point in time, and it's a cool thing. You're a player, like it's something cool to take with you, and you have that for the rest of your life. And Eddie, he kind of looks at Tucker. He's like, "Can we take those?" And Tucker, he's like, he just kind of shrugs his shoulders, and Eddie just takes it and takes off with it. And he kind of goes off the camera, but they're like, "No, we need that back. Like, you're still playing. You're not out of the tournament yet. Like, you still get to play. We may need that tomorrow." So hopefully he'll get to take that whenever that time comes, whether it's tomorrow or if we win this whole thing. Hopefully he'll get to keep that nameplate and take that with him because that'd be a kind of a cool memento to take home with him. So. But we're got a lot of chats coming in. Let's kind of flip the script and talk about tomorrow a little bit. And everybody wants to hear about pitching and kind of what we think about that. So before we talk about the Chanticleers, and I want to say that correctly because I don't want to get scolded by their coach, Kevin Schnall. He kind of went on a rampage the other day because people were saying Chanticleers. They were saying, I guess, Chanticleers when it's the Chanticleers. So he was very, very passionate about that. So let's talk about us first before we talk about them and pitching and what that's going to look like. Obviously, this is the point of Omaha that bullpens, I don't want to say get depleted, but they kind of do, and it's not just one team; it's kind of everybody at this point in time. You've played quite a few games in a short period of time, and you're having to reuse some arms, maybe run back out there for an inning or two just to get through, but they can't go the typical 4, 5, 6 that you want them to go. So let's kind of chat about the approach tomorrow, maybe who's available, who we think we may see. Terry, I'll turn that over to you. We've got some options, right? There's a lot of dudes in the bullpen, but I don't want to say staff day, but maybe kind of sort of staff day is what we're probably going to be looking at. But what are your thoughts on maybe approach to the pitching staff and bullpen tomorrow?
I think staff day is probably the right phrase for tomorrow. Yeah. There were some options for today, and I think what they essentially just settled on in terms of going with cuts was they just liked the look better that he would give them. The way to beat Oregon State was going to be to kind of mix up looks, and so that's what they kind of tried to do in terms of you go cuts and you come back with West, and then I liked the approach today. The kind of, can we get through the lineup? Essentially, can we get, we had guys be able to get through the lineup. I thought that was key, and I'm not sure that that's necessarily going to be the case tomorrow. Look, we've had some staff days this year where you basically use an opener and then it's all of a sudden it's a guy an inning type of a thing. I'm not sure it's going to be quite that type of a look, but we're likely to see some arms tomorrow that we haven't seen in a little bit. In terms of guys that are available, Peter Michael is definitely available. I would think that you are very likely to see Colton Hartman tomorrow. He was widely thought to be the guy that was going to be first out of the bullpen today. And that was told to me on the field 10 minutes before the game by multiple people. So, whatever changed is whatever changed, and that's fine. But I think that was the original game plan. So I would think you'll probably see him. TJ Schlageter is probably a good option for tomorrow as well. Look, there are some other guys that have thrown recently that are definitely still available. You could see Wyatt again tomorrow. He didn't throw very many pitches today. Could you see Schweitzer for an inning? Potentially. Could you see, let's see, I'm trying to run through, the guys that are not available are going to be, I would love it if Forbes thought, give me the baseball, but I have a feeling that he may be saved for Thursday. if we're able to make it to Thursday. He's been pretty regimented on, he doesn't really throw on, as a starter, he's not really used to throwing on short rest. And so, if they want to save him for Thursday, then they want to save him for Thursday. That's fine. Same with look. Could Eberle give you an inning? Maybe. He hasn't. It's been a little bit. It'll have been a few days since he's thrown. So some of these things, when you have your off day to throw, you might be able to use that, in a game situation. Stark could be available tomorrow. He has not thrown out here in Omaha yet. He's been a guy that you saw. Jack Brown only threw 10 pitches, I think, today. He's probably still available to throw tomorrow. So there's a lot of options. It's just, how are they going to try to piece them together? Who's on, who's off. You talked about short leash. It's going to be short leash tomorrow. And that goes for everybody. It's not, and it's no slight at anyone. It's just, it's win or go home. And so, we didn't really have to have much short leash today. They were pretty quick on Wyatt, and he didn't have it, and that's fine. Like I said, you'll probably see Wyatt tomorrow. And so those are kind of the options that are out there in terms of just trying to piece the game together. Because I think staff day is a fair way to say it.
Yeah, I think of you probably mentioned around 5 names or so. I think those are probably the 5 or 6 guys that we use to get through the game tomorrow. And like you said, if we win tomorrow, then you've got Forbes going on Thursday. And at that point in time, the hope is that he can get you, into the 5th or 6th inning like he typically does, and really, really be able to shorten the game on Thursday. And then that opens up some other options of maybe guys that you saw today to throw an inning that you're not going to see tomorrow. So the approach tomorrow is going to be that's what it is. It's going to be a short leash for everybody. You're not going to see anybody get in a ton of trouble and stay on the mound. Coach Mack is going to use the bullpen early and often if he has to. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully whoever they start can get through the lineup a time and a half before we have to make a change, if not more. But tomorrow's a game you got to win. I mean, you don't win tomorrow, you don't get to play on Thursday. So we wouldn't be able to talk about Patrick, having another appearance in a Louisville jersey. People are talking about Forbes in the comment. His name's coming up a ton. Somebody said Forbes mentioned that he is expecting to start tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, maybe. Terry, I mean, do you know anything? I mean, does he? I know Forbes probably wants the ball.
Okay, I'll say this. I did not talk to Patrick after the game. When I did some post-game stuff with, it's really hard to bounce around from press conference to locker room, and it's a zoo, and the locker room's only open for 10 minutes, and so sometimes you're trying to pick where are you going to be, and today it wasn't right across the hall or anything like that down there. So I did not talk to Patrick today afterwards. I did. When I talked to Cuts, he was right next to him. I kind of joked with him afterwards because he kind of dapped up somebody in the hallway, and I was like, hey, my guy, I'm over here. But, outside of that, I didn't really talk to him. Look, like I said, if he wants the baseball, you give him the baseball. That's how I feel. And if you're a first-round draft pick and you've got that competitive fire in you, I would hope that you want the baseball. That's just kind of how I feel. But I do also see the other side of, hey, let's just hold off a day, kind of that line of thinking. But if I was the coach and the kids felt okay, I would go Forbes tomorrow, Eberle on Thursday. That's what I would do. But the kids have to have their arms feel right, and so that's the part of it that I don't know how his arm feels and recovers off of. Look, he threw a lot of pitches the other night, and he was very good. Ethan didn't throw quite as many through his 3 2/3, I think.
He threw 72.
Yeah, So he could be ready to go, and I'm sure he'll want the baseball too. Though
Hmm.
he's and so like that's the thing. Like I think kind of at this time of year, right? In playoff baseball. I mean, I'm trying to remember back when. Uh, I'm not going to remember the year, but CC Sabathia at one point got traded to the Brewers for a playoff run. And in a 5-game series, he was thrown on like 2 days rest and just bulldogging it because that's just give me the baseball. I'm taking us to the next round. You know what I mean? And you love to see that. You love to see that fiery competitiveness from these kids that are just like Tucker today. Hey, I'm going to the bullpen. I'm available. I'm ready. And so the difference about some of the other kids that you just don't quite know is because Patrick's just a little bit of a quieter kid.
Yeah.
Just his demeanor. And so what can be lost sometimes is you sometimes don't even realize the competitiveness in him because he's just a little bit quieter. Now you've seen it a little bit more here in the postseason, a little bit more fiery coming off the mound, big strikeout. You get some fist pumps, some yelling coming off the mound. And I'm telling you, you get in this environment and you see other guys doing it. I mean, you've seen dudes from Arkansas are doing it. You've seen Tucker do it today. You're probably gonna see Coastal have an armor or so, tomorrow that's gonna throw that's not on their full rest. The environment breeds that competitiveness. And so I hope he's feeling it. That's what I would want, and that's what I would probably do if I was, in that spot. But if his arm's not ready, his arm's not ready. And so that part of it remains to be seen.
Yeah, no, I 100%. Same thing you said, and that was in the chat. If he wants the ball and he's ready, I don't think there's really no decision that needs to be made. I think Patrick Forbes gets the ball if he wants the ball. But if not, the backup plan is kind of what we laid out a little bit ago, and you just kind of piece the game together and do what you can as the game goes on. Let's talk about Costa a little bit too. We've talked about them. Oh, go ahead, Terry.
Just one more thing. The other thing about Patrick is he doesn't even have to. It's not even that it's like, hey, give us 6 innings.
Right.
Can he give you 3 innings? Can he give you 4 innings? And just again, like today with Cuts, can he just get us out of the gate and get us in the game and get us in the flow and just allow us? I mean, what if he gave you 3 innings? That's 3 less innings that you have to find from your, in a staff kind of day.
Yeah.
So, again, like I said, it remains to be seen. But even if it's not, 100 pitches, can he give you 3? Can he give you 4? Can he give you 2? I mean, whatever it is that he can give you is something that you don't have to find somewhere else.
Yeah, if he can get you through the lineup just one time and give your lineup a chance to see their pitcher through the lineup one time, and maybe you sneak a run here or a run there, get some momentum early like we were able to do today against Oregon State, I think that'd be huge. Like you said, if we get him on the mound tomorrow, we don't need a complete game from him. We just need him to set the tone early and give the offense an opportunity to get going and shorten the game for the bullpen. That's really all we would be asking from him tomorrow, because Coastal's a good team. I mean, they were the 13 seed overall seed coming in to the postseason. They're riding a 25-game winning streak right now. Kind of how they got here. They stormed through their regional. They hosted Florida, ECU, and Fairfield were in their regional. And then they went down to Auburn, who was the number 4 overall seed, and they swept them on the road. And then in the College World Series, they beat Arizona and Oregon State. So that's kind of how they got where they are up until this point. And Terry, we've talked about this team a little bit throughout the year, especially as the postseason moved along. And just, I mean, their pitching staff is ridiculous. They can really spin it. They're, I think, second best team in the country in ERA with a 3.23, which is just unheard of in this day and age. 10 years ago, you saw those numbers frequently because the balls and bats were a little bit different and the game was played a little bit differently. But an ERA at 3.2 is just, you don't see that anymore. Offensively, they hit it at about 290 as a team. 66 home runs, 106 stolen bases, so they will run a little bit. They're not going to be near as aggressive as we are, but they're going to run. We're going to see that from them tomorrow, and if we advance on to Thursday as well. You look at 290. I think Oregon State was hitting about 291, but the difference between I think Oregon State's 290 and Coastal's 290 was Oregon State was really, really top heavy. They had a couple guys that were, hitting the 360s, 350s that really pulled that average up. Where it seems like Coastals, when you look up and down their lineup, most of the guys are hitting 280 or better. They're all kind of right there. They don't have a couple guys that are really leading and pulling their numbers up. It's really 1 through 9. We talk about that with Louisville quite a bit. We can hit 1 through 9, and that's kind of how this Coastal roster is. But a couple guys that I do want to highlight, Caden Bodine. If you're not familiar with him, the kid can play.
Get familiar.
Yes, yeah, because he's going to be a household name. MLB.com has him as number 18 in the draft right now. If I'm not mistaken, maybe the first collegiate catcher, maybe the first overall catcher taken in the draft. I'd have to go back and confirm that. But the kid can play. He's hitting 332. He's just a real hard-nosed, blue-collar type guy. He's got 18 doubles this year. If you're not familiar with him, pay close attention tomorrow because he's a special player. He's one of those guys that kind of want to put a star by his name because you're going to remember him and see his name for years to come as he climbs the professional ranks. And behind him, Sebastian Alexander. He's a guy that's hitting 320, 10 home runs and 53 RBIs. So he's kind of the other I would say big bat in the lineup that can really win the game or beat you. One thing that stuck out to me is they've struck out 509 times as a team this year, which is a pretty high number. Louisville was just over 400 at 404, so over 100 more strikeouts this year. So the pitching staff may have an opportunity to have a high swing and miss rate tomorrow. So that's encouraging for a staff that could potentially be looking at a staff day. So that is encouraging when you look at just on paper. They did throw their ace on Sunday. He threw 109 pitches. Jacob Morrison, he's 12-0 now, and I say ace, but they've got a couple of them. So we're gonna see a lot of really good pitchers tomorrow. Their other two starters, they split the game on Sunday. One threw 4 innings, the other threw 4 innings, and then they had somebody throw the 9th. So those two guys threw 71 pitches and I believe around 40 some odd pitches. So there's a good chance that we see one, if not both of those guys tomorrow. Riley Eichhoff and Cameron Fluke are the two guys that we're probably going to see. My guess, I don't know. Neither team has announced what they're doing yet, and they probably won't until tomorrow morning. But those are two names to kind of keep an eye on that we'll see. And I would imagine they're both going to be available tomorrow. But even beyond that, or if they go a different route, this team has a plethora of arms that they have in their arsenal that they can go to. When you talk about having a short leash or coming and getting a guy if they get in trouble, there's no shortage of arms within this bullpen. They'll turn them over and turn them out and just bring another guy in, and their numbers are just as good as the last guy. You kind of look up and down their roster, and the stats are really, really impressive. And Coastal, a Sun Belt team who cruised through their conference, I think they had the 49 SOS in the country. So, it's not like they played a slouch of a schedule. They've played some really, really high-quality baseball teams. So this is a team that I think we've got our work cut out for us tomorrow. They don't walk a ton of guys. They walked like 192 innings and 550 innings this year, or 192 guys and 550 innings. So they're not going to give us any free passes. But on the flip side of that, we're an aggressive team. Like we swing at strikes. Like we don't wait to get to 2 strikes in the count before we change our approach. So I think that's going to bode well for us because we aren't just going to sit back and take. That's not what Dan McDonald teams do. So, but just looking up and down the roster and watching them play over the past couple of weeks, it's tough to really punch many holes in the flaws of this team. I mean, they're just very well-rounded. Their coach is very hard-nosed. If you've seen him, he's very old school. That's how he coaches his team, and that's how they play. They're very blue collar. Kind of approach the game like a Chris Pollard, like Duke's team do. They're just very tough nosed. They're never quite out
Virginia.
of it.
He's Virginia now.
Well, he's at Virginia now, but yeah, it
I'm
wasn't
just,
Duke.
I'm just kidding.
But how his teams have been for the past 10 years or so that he's been there. But no, they're. I think they're kind of reminiscent of the way he approaches the game. So I think we're gonna. I mean, they're a good baseball team. You look across the team and you see a mid-major and somebody's like, oh, they haven't played anybody. This team's for real. This is a damn good baseball team we're going to see tomorrow. So, Terry, you've gotten to see them probably up close and personal a little bit this week. What are your thoughts on the Chanticleers tomorrow?
So first off, they bring some fans in here, man.
Yeah, they do.
They bring a loud and rowdy crowd, and they are behind their dudes. There is going to be a lot. I guess is it just teal? Is that what we're calling it? Is it teal? Like officially
Yeah, don't call
teal, I
it
guess.
don't call it green because he got pissed about that too. Whatever color they called it.
So it looks teal to me. I don't really know if they officially call it teal, but they say what guys see less colors than women, so maybe a woman would actually know what color it is. But it looks teal to me, so I'll call it teal. But there's going to be a lot of teal in that ballpark, and like you said, these dudes can pitch, and that's the difference between this year's Coastal team and most of these other Coastal teams throughout the last decade or so. They've always been a team that's just a high octane offense and can push a lot of runs across. And they were just, I don't want to say kind of trying to figure out the pitching, but they've got 3 bona fide dudes as starters on this roster. I mean, 3 dudes that any team in the country would take. I mean, that's how good this pitching staff is. You mentioned number 2 in the country in ERA. And this is the thing, like you hear Sun Belt and you think, oh, that's not the AC, it's not the SC. And that's true because it's not as deep. But there's some good baseball played in the Sun Belt. Obviously, Southern Miss, we almost, went to their place, right, for the Super Regionals. So that's a legitimate team there. Troy, where are they? Trojans. Skylar Mead, our guy Skylar Mead down there. Former Louisville, Ballard Bruin, I think. Is he a Ballard Bruin? So
I don't know if they play high school.
I think he's Ballard. So, former Louisville Cardinals. So he's down there. They've had a great team for the last, 3, 4, 5 years, even longer maybe. And it goes on. They've had some other teams throughout the last decade that have been really good in that conference. And so they also really challenge themselves in the midweeks. They play a lot of the Carolinas. They'll get East Carolina. They'll play Duke. They'll play NC State. They're not afraid. I mean, they're a, anyone, anywhere, anytime type of baseball program. Now, I will say this about their coach. The funny thing about him is that, they're really, really good this year, obviously. The 25-game win streak speaks for itself. But because they're so good this year, I think he's got his chest stuck out just a little bit more and feels very free and kind of saying some of the things he's been saying, calling out some of the things. I mean, some of those things that you can do when your team is that good. Is that, kind of what I mean? So, he's calling out, a national championship coach, down at Florida for the way and look, obviously completely out of pocket, right? Like we all saw the video we talked about on here a couple weeks ago. So, but I mean, he has no problem stepping up to the mic and just saying it how it is. Because what are you going to, I mean, first off, he's correct. But second, he's got a team that backs him up. He's not just, they're so good, they're so talented, the winning streak is rolling. Like when that stuff is all kind of coming together, you just feel a little freer to just kind of speak your mind. So whether it's, somebody calling it green or somebody calling them the Shants instead of the Shants or whatever it is. I mean, look, they're good. They're one of the favorites here. I'm sure they were probably to everybody's, I didn't look at the betting, but I would guess that they were probably the favorite on this side of the bracket heading in. Somebody might have had Oregon State up there instead, but with their pitching staff, I would have thought that they would have been the favorite on this side. Them going toe-to-toe with, like, if they were to make it to the final, if they get past Louisville, this is how good they are. their pitching staff is able to go toe-to-toe with LSU. They can go starter for starter with those guys. That's how good they are out of the Sun Belt. And so this team is not to be played with. I'm telling you, if you mentioned them, if you have not seen Bodine, I saw he's number 18 on MLB.com in terms of just what they have. They've got Forbes slotted right now at 22, so he's moved up a little bit. With some of these postseason performances as well. Bodine, again, much the same way that we've talked earlier in this week about some other guys. That's a dude that if you are, whoever you root for your major league team, you want to see your team draft that kid here in about a month. You would love for that kid to work his way through your farm system because he is a major leaguer and he is a star. I mean, I don't know who. If he's not the first catcher off the board, it's going to be Stevenson probably from North Carolina, who we saw earlier this year. And there's a plethora of really good collegiate catchers. Auburn has one. There's a bunch of them out there, and I wouldn't think that anyone's going to take a high school catcher before any of those guys. So this team can really play, and Louisville is going to have to play very well to beat them because they're not going to beat themselves. But like you mentioned, there's a lot of swing and miss there. A lot. And that's also been on display this week. They can hammer the baseball, but not at the level of they don't drive the ball out of the ballpark like Oregon State does throughout the year. There's some opportunities there with some of those things when you just kind of look at it on paper that Louisville might match up pretty well, pitching-wise to that, especially if Forbes is available with just his strikeout numbers compared to what they do in the batter's box. Even if it's, like we said, for just a few or a handful of innings, that would probably be a matchup, again, just on paper, that Louisville would like.
Yeah, no, I like the matchup. I mean, it's obviously a very good baseball team. They've won 25 baseball games in a row and against good competition. You're talking about they've won 2 games at Auburn. They won a game at Clemson during that series. Maybe, I don't know if it was at Clemson, but against Clemson during that run as well. Obviously, they've beat Arizona, Oregon State. They've beat very high-quality baseball teams during that run. But I think if Louisville offensively can move the baseball, I think our staff can keep us in the game like they've done the first couple of games out here in Omaha. So I think that I'm encouraged about that as we go into this game tomorrow at 2:00 against them. Evan described in the chat Coastal as old school West Coast baseball. I think it's a good way to describe it. We've seen some of the West Coast teams. That's how they play, and it seems like that's how this coaching staff and this team approaches the game. I like that comparison quite a bit.
It's like a Fullerton. Yes, 100%. That's a really good comparison. Evan.
Mm-hmm.
Evan's on it, man. That's good work.
Speaking of Fullerton, I saw the other day that Vanderhook, who used to be their coach, Rick Vanderhook, I believe, he's coaching high school baseball now. I thought that was kind of cool. I think they made it to the state championship or won the state championship where he was, but just a small tidbit there. A couple other things in the chat I want to talk about, and it's approaching 11 o'clock, so we'll hop off here in just a few minutes. Brandon said a lot of pressure on Coastal. That's true. They're the higher seed here. Like it's, we want to be here. We expect to be here. Like that's the standard Louisville baseball. But yes, 100%. But they're the 13th seed. Like they're supposed to win this. Like they're in the driver's seat. They're in the winner's bracket. So that's a good point too. I like that. He also said put Eddie and Tuck on the wall at Jimmy P. I think that'd be awesome. There's certain criteria for to get out there on the wall. So that's yet to be seen. But no, I think those two, they put in their time and they deserve it. But I would love to see both their faces out there.
If nothing else, they'll probably have their photo on there with a dog pile up on next to the on the health building behind when they have to redo all that, and you'll be able to pick out Eddie and Tucker on there probably in a big mass of humanity dogpiling to I guess to the left if you were looking at it from the stands of the pitcher's mound there.
I was looking at it. It's funny when after we won the Super Regional and I was walking out, I was looking up at the previous ones and I was like, we're kind of running out of space over here. Like we're gonna have to go in a different, like the plan is just kind of up and down that wall. I was like, we're gonna have to come up with a new plan and maybe update kind of how this flows over here because it may not look as symmetrical, and for somebody like me that may drive me crazy. But yeah, that's a good thing when you start running out of space for things like that. But yeah, that will definitely be over there on that building somewhere. So let's see what else we've got coming in. This was a little bit ago. So happy for Alex that his season didn't end on that. Yeah, that's definitely glad he was able to bounce back from that. Brandon says, like our chances if we win game one, do they start doubting themselves if they drop this game? Could be. That certainly a chance from Coastal. I think, like you said, like Brandon said, the pressure's on them. I think we come in tomorrow and we can play pretty loose and see what happens. We're in Omaha. We're one of the 4 teams left playing. That's just go out there and play the game that Louisville knows they can play the way they've played it all season long, and just see what happens.
And this is a pretty loose team just anyway, if you've
Yeah.
been around the ballpark or if you've kind of been around any of these guys. I'm sure you can even tell on television. It's a loose group. They enjoy each other. We've talked about a lot on here throughout the year, like the genuine love that these kids have for each other. I mean, one of the very first things that Coach McDonald said in the press conference today was he's just thankful to get to spend another day going to battle with with this group, like this specific group. And, they're, throughout the years of Louisville baseball, there have probably, and even some of the teams that have made it to Omaha and some that haven't, there's probably been some more talented teams than this one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But the camaraderie of the group means so much and has really galvanized and carried them this season. And it cannot be overstated how much that has meant to this team and what this year's team has done and is doing for the future of this baseball program. I mean, just in terms of, I don't want to say you see it going around, right, about, the Justin West, we've been disrespected or, all these things. And he got up and kind of mimicked his own self at practice yesterday, talking about we've been disrespected, and everybody, yelled and got excited. But like, they genuinely feel that way. And they feel like, hey, you forgot about us over the last 5 to 6 years, and we're still here. And right back, Coach Mack said we'll be back at his last press conference in Omaha in 2019. And it took 6 years, but 6 years later, they're right back in the exact same game, in the exact same spot. That was the honest truth. We'll be back. They're back in the same game. Like you said, there's 4 teams left that can win a national championship. 4. And we talked about it yesterday, and I went on a little tangent about the support, right, that we give to some of these other programs that don't quite have this level of, have not gotten to this level of, like, getting close to a championship. This team is 4 wins away from a national title. 4 wins. And I know they're going to take it a day at a time, but that's wild, man. Like, they are that close. And so it's going to be a fun game tomorrow. I'm pumped about it. I hope Card Nation shows up. I hope, jump you on a flight, hit that red eye, start driving right now. You'll make it. Do whatever you got to do, but let's support these kids, man. They deserve it. And it's going to be a fun afternoon at the ballpark tomorrow.
My wife and I, we've got our PTO put in for Monday and Tuesday. So if it happens, There's going to be 3 more of us out there because we're bringing the little one and we're going to make the trip out. So we're ready to go if we win these next 2. But hopefully that's the case. Hopefully we can join you out there, Terry, here in a couple days. Some breaking news, or not breaking news, I guess, but Arkansas just uh, beat UCLA. So we've got the final 2 on that bracket as Arkansas, LSU, and Arkansas will have to beat LSU twice. So it's going to be a heck of a couple games. I hope that
They were
goes. I
like
hope Arkansas wins.
they were calling the pigs or whatever. What is it that they do? They were doing
Woo
the woo pig
pig,
suey
woo
thing.
pig. Yeah.
Or yeah, today when I left, I had to get out of there. I couldn't do it.
Was Petrino there?
I don't, man. I don't know if he was. He might have had. Was his girlfriend there? That's the real question. Was Petrino there with his girlfriend or was it with his wife? Which one did he bring with him? I don't know.
You can tell it's getting late around here, so we'll start. We'll hop off this thing. Looks like we are. Let's see, how many are we at tonight? We're up around 760 people. Appreciate everybody hopping on with us. Seriously, I know we continue to do these things, but Terry and I continue to enjoy them. So as long as you all will hop on, we're going to keep doing them. They're fun for us, and we hope they're fun for you guys too. And while we're on this ride, there's no reason to not get together and have some Cards fans just chat about this thing. So it's been a good ride. At some point in time, we're not going to be able to say that Louisville baseball plays a game tomorrow. Hopefully that's not tomorrow when we say that. But this has been a hell of a run, and Terry, I know you and I both have enjoyed every second of it. So you're out there in Omaha. You're taking all the action in. Continue to post the videos post game, which we 100% love and keeps us kind of connected to the program as much as we can. So for those that aren't watching, let them know where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on X, Twitter, whatever you prefer to call it, on at Inside Ville BSB, VILLEBSB. Yeah, I like I say every time. I try not to blow your timelines up too much. Just every half inning post whatever happened there, and like I said, please be respectful. If you want to comment, it's all good. I love all the comments and things, but just please, if you do have something that you didn't like or whatever, that's all good. That doesn't bother me in any way. Just, I tag the kids in it so their parents can find them. So please just keep it respectful if you are going to keep the tag in there. If not, you have the option to delete that tag and go ahead and you can respond to just me, not to said player also. So as far as the post-game stuff, I tried super hard today to get back and forth between the press conference and being in the locker room. So yeah, you can find all the videos at Inside Louisville Baseball on YouTube. Again, like I say, if you want to subscribe or like and do those things, I'd love those things as well. If you don't find them there, I put them all on X, Twitter, whatever, and shoot them out there so that you can find them as well. So just again, thankful for anyone who watches and listens and likes and does all that stuff, and for being able to be on here and just talk some Louisville baseball, man. I love nothing more than that. So just this has been a fun run I'm sure for the kids, obviously, but I've been having a blast. So just a pleasure to be out here and take it all in with all these Louisville fans for sure.
And one more thing I'm going to add real quick. Matthew put in the post or in the comments there, the offense 1 through 9 has to be one of the best that Dan has had during his tenure in Louisville. I really do think that. You look up and down some of these draft classes that had, Henry Davis went first overall. You've had McKay in the top 5. The draft has been littered with Louisville players over the past 18 years, and I don't think this team has as much of the star power that we've seen from some of those teams, like you talked about. They're not going to be as, I don't want to say talented, but they're all so good at what they do. 1 through 9, I would put this team up against any of his teams, even though you're not going to have a top 5 draft pick. But this team is so solid 1 through 9 that I really would put this team up against any of his teams. And I think that's why we're standing where we are as one of the Final Four teams in Omaha. So like Terry, you said, it's been a really fun run, and hope it doesn't end tomorrow. We can continue to come and talk about this again for the next couple nights.
The key to that has obviously been the exceptional play from Neighbors while we've been here. I mean, he's
Yep.
really allowed that lineup. He
Yeah.
obviously Dan, the last couple of days has moved Alisea back up, back up in the lineup to get him some more at bats. And so, when then obviously everybody else slots down, and you all of a sudden get to Neighbors, and he's tearing the cover off the baseball.
Hmm.
And so like there's no free outs in the lineup anywhere. And that is, you're right, there isn't a yeah, at least there's not a top 5 pick probably
Yeah.
on this roster. But man, there are some dudes that are going to play baseball for a long
Yep.
time on this roster. I mean, Coach Matt keeps talking about it post game about how long, about how professional of a hitter some of these kids are. And he was really talking about Eddie today. Eddie's going to play ball for a long time. That swing
Hmm.
plays, man. Zion Rose, Lucas Moore, Eddie King, Garrett Pike, Tag Davis, Kamayu Neighbors, Alisea, Monroe, Klein. Who are you getting out? Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, one of them's going to have a good day. Not everyone's going to have a bad day. That's the thing. That's why this offense eventually it clicks. It seems to every game somebody finds it, whether it's early and you get it going or it's late. They all believe in like that dude. Whoever said that, 100%. I mean, 1 through 9, this thing is loaded.
Yeah. No, I think that's the, you know, even when you look at a team like Coastal, I think that's why we still have a chance. Obviously, is because of that lineup. Yeah, they've got a really deep pitching staff, and they've got numbers that are eye popping. Uh, but our offense is the same way. Like our offensive numbers are eye popping. We're top 10 in the country in a ton of different categories offensively. So you've got two Goliaths going up against each other tomorrow because you got a really good pitching staff on their side. You've got a really damn good offense from us. So it's going to be really exciting to see how those two respond and play against each other.
And we've beat good pitching staffs before. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, it's not like we
Yes.
haven't seen them and we haven't
Yeah.
beat them. I mean, we took down North Carolina twice. We took down Florida State twice. We took down Texas's ace. Like, we could just keep going on. With just 2 days ago, what we did to the stopper of the year at Arizona. Like,
Yep.
it's not like we haven't seen great pitchers all year and we're all of a sudden
Yep.
just going up again. It's not David versus Goliath or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, Coastal's a ranked team. They look. We had a tough last couple weeks of this season. Otherwise, we were right. I mean, we were right in that host mix. Well into May,
Hmm.
and just had a couple rough weeks there with just some injury things and trying to come off. Otherwise, we might have been a seeded team too. And I think everybody sees that as the postseason has gone on. When we're healthy, we're as good as anyone in the country, and I mean anyone. And I've said it all year. This team is good enough to beat anybody. And I mean Coastal Carolina, I mean LSU, and I mean Arkansas. This team is good enough and they've shown it. I didn't even back off it after the loss to Pittsburgh. I said right after that, this team is good enough to go to Omaha. Here we
You've
go.
been consistent. You've been consistent with it the entire time. And not only did we get there, we're in the Final Four. We're one of the last four teams standing. So Louisville, Coastal Carolina tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, Arkansas and LSU. That's it. Those are the four teams left, and we're one of them. So we'll be back, and no matter what happens, to chat about this thing, talk about how the game goes, and kind of what this is going to look like beyond that. Because even whenever this season ends, whether it's tomorrow or whether we host a trophy at some point this weekend or Monday, we're still going to be here all summer long talking about Louisville baseball because that's what Terry and I love to do. So we'll be back, and we'll be back at some point in time this week to chat about how the College World Series goes. And in the words of Sean Moth, we will see you at the ballpark.